In the early 1880s, Joshua Reynolds was the president to the First National Bank in Las Vegas, New Mexico. In 1881, the railroads came to El Paso and business was booming. By 1882, Joshua came to El Paso and started the construction of a one-of-a-kind building. It was right there. We're in the corner of El Paso and San Antonio. An Italian Middle Empire building built in 1883. First National Bank was in business till 1933. After that, it became commercial use. Unfortunately, and despite the fact that it was a one-of-a-kind building in the region, it was allowed to go into disrepair, and in 2012, it burned down. Now, right next to it, right where that entry is, was another Henry C. Trust building with amazing, very stately architecture. One of the unique things about the First National Bank building is that down the road, it became known as the John Wesley Hardin building, because for the 4 months that he was in El Paso, that's where his office was. Now, by all accounts, John Wesley Hardin was a very intelligent man and very enterprising. So when he came to El Paso, he quickly got busy in looking for investments. Right down the street, about 2 buildings right there, is the Wigwam Saloon. It started also around 1882. Later, it became the Wigwam Saloon in the late 1890s. John Wesley owned part of that saloon. And we could tell his stress level was increasing in these 4 months in El Paso because we have access to his tab. And what started being 50 cents, $1 a day, quickly went up to $40 a day. And he actually passed away owing over $100 to his own saloon. The saloon is very interesting because it was much more than a saloon. At the street level was the entry to the bar. At the time, there was only 3 major bars in the area. It was the Gem Saloon, which was the most upscale, the Acme Saloon, which was the most popular saloon, and the Wigwam. The Wigwam was also meant to be more of a luxury saloon. It, in fact, was the first saloon to have electric lamps in El Paso. It had a basement, which is now covered up, and there's a entryway where you see the footstep. That was the entryway that went directly to the stairs to go to the second level. The 6 windows that are now covered up on the top, the first 3 served for a gambling hall, and the back 3 were a brothel. Soon after passing the bar exam, John Wesley Hardin made his way to El Paso due to him having a client here. It didn't take him long to find a partner, Miss Monroe's. Miss Monroe's was actually married, and her partner was in Juarez. He couldn't cross, but that's another video. He found himself in the Acme Saloon, which was right there. And earlier that day, he had had an argument with John Salmon Jr. over him harassing Miss Monroe's. So that evening, when he was drinking at the Acme Saloon, John Salmon Sr. walks in and shoots John Wesley Hardin in the back of the head. This happened in 1895. Now, ironically, John Salmon found himself in this bar, which was John Wesley's, a few months after killing John Wesley. And he himself got shot in this alleyway by George A. Scarborough. He died the next day in the surgery table.
So I'm Clay Barron, and this is Dave's Pawn Shop, and this is John Selman's cane. John Selman obviously was the outlaw and lawman who lived here in El Paso. He was the one who shot John Wesley Hardin, and he also happened to die in the alley right behind the shop. So this cane is interesting. It came to us from a dealer, and it's actually not just a cane. It's also a sword, and it's pointy, sharp. And the best part of this thing is on the end here. It says John Selman, El Paso, Texas. And of course it's wood and silver, and then the blade be metal. But yeah, it's a little, for today's standard, not terribly short, but a little short. There's actually a picture of John Selman. If I'm not mistaken, he was wounded about a year before he died, just before he shot John Wesley Hardin, so he would have needed a cane. And there's one picture of him with the cane in his left hand, if I'm not mistaken.